This episode is brought to you by Lumina Growth Lab. At Lumina, we help professional learning and development consultants who are struggling with steady lead flow, consistent bottom line revenue, and scalability, so they can finally have healthy margins, make more strategic decisions, and ultimately take their business to the next level. Most of our clients come to us frustrated because nothing seems to work outside of word of mouth and referral-based growth. But with the right strategy and support, they're able to confidently add new channels of lead generation that create sustainable revenue and year-over-year progress for cheaper than ever before because of the use of AI technologies. If that sounds like you or someone you know, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about unlocking your business's potential. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix. I'm your host, Lisanne Murphy, and today, guys, you are in for a super treat. I am joined by the one and the only Jonathan Bonanno. Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for the conversation and just to be here.
Yeah, it is going to be amazing, guys. I met Jonathan recently, and I was absolutely blown away by his level of intelligence, but also his down-to-earth nature, and how he's taken his skill set and his education and applied it specifically to a niche in a really unique way that I haven't heard of before. And so I'm really excited for you to dive into his mind as well as into his business. So before I let him blow your mind, let me just take a minute to introduce this leader. So Jonathan is a legacy builder and organizational development executive. He specializes in creating high-performing, human-centered environments where people and businesses can grow safely together. With over a decade of experience in entrepreneurship consulting and executive leadership, he supported organizations in launching, scaling, optimizing, and when necessary, rebuilding from the inside out. He currently serves as founder and CEO of ZIA, a national talent and organizational development agency supporting professionals and businesses committed to growth. His approach mirrors clinical precision. They diagnose operational gaps, design people-centered systems, and implement custom solutions that elevate team performance and drive retention. In addition to leading this company, he serves as a fractional executive and strategic partner to established brands, founders, and key opinion leaders across healthcare, technology, and beyond. He helps navigate growth, team alignment, and succession strategy, often becoming the bridge between vision and execution. So valuable. He's the host of the Chief Psycho podcast and co-creator of the Psycho and In-Ceto experience. Is that how you say that?
Yep.
A leadership coaching platform and retreat series built for servant leaders doing deep and meaningful work. These platforms allow him to amplify conversations around psychological safety, inner leadership, and sustainable success. His work is grounded in psychodynamic principles, organizational psychology, and a no BS execution. He believes in calling things that the way they are, aligning actions with values, and building legacies that outlive titles. All right. Now, if that doesn't just you all excited inside to hear from him, then I don't know what would. Everyone, wherever you are, in your house, in your kitchen, at Costco, listening to this, give Jonathan a big round of applause and welcome him onto the show. Jonathan, thanks for taking some time with me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I would love to hear in your own words, give it to me straight. How did you get to be this multifaceted, involved in everything? I guess actually, hold on, before you even go back there, here's my real question. Do you actually sleep?
Yeah. Yes, I do sleep, actually. I have to do a lot of my chagas remedies at night. So that's usually what I end up going for. So the Rise Superfoods products are the best.
That's awesome. A plug for Rise here. Guys,
Yeah,
Rise
right.
is not sponsoring this episode, but maybe they should after this conversation. That's
Seriously.
fantastic. Well, I'm grateful to know that you aren't actually just a robot. So let's go back. How did you get so interested in the intersection between psychology and growth and vision and where did you come from? That's really what I want to know.
Yeah, it's funny. So I never had envisioned myself becoming an entrepreneur, getting into this space of business and development. I've never seen myself in this conversation, or I guess I never planned to have seen myself in this conversation before. When I was in high school, I took a lot of the prerequisite courses for college certification, college credits. I was dead set on becoming a plastic surgeon. And I started taking all of the course requirements and studying and doing the research at, sophomore year of high school, really trying to understand the intricacies of what surgery does. And then I became a CNA by my senior year and recognized how much I hated smelling and being around bodily fluids and odors and all the other things. I cannot do blood, can't do needles. I'm covered in tattoos, but I don't like needles. So after experiencing that firsthand, I knew that I needed to make a switch and transition inside of my education pathway. So that's when I took a year and a half off of school after I graduated, went right into my freshman year of college, took a break, and then went into the workforce. And that's where I fell in love with the business side of healthcare. I used to work with the organization McKesson for a little over 6.5 years. And I held a variety of different roles, from working in medical surgical divisions to patient assistance, pharmacy programs, REMS, to full product implementation and deployments. And that's where I really saw the opportunity to get a little deeper. It was significantly more than just being an effective project manager or an effective implementations consultant. You're dealing with a lot of people that have to ensure that timelines, deliverables, actions are truly being taken, and not in a way to where it really dismantles and breaks you down as a human. And I saw that firsthand. I was 20 in my first leadership position. I was 23 in my first senior leadership role, and then 24 in my first executive roles. I'd have stretched myself pretty quickly, but I've also always been kind of, I don't want to say the brute force, but the young, hungry sponge that I'm coming in and I'm asking the questions, no matter how dumb or oblivious it sounds, I'm going to ask them, because if I'm not asking, or if I have the question or thought, somebody else does too, but maybe they don't feel secure or safe enough in their own space to bring that to life. And after I finished my master's program, I just got a wild hair, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go for my PhD. Why not? And that's where I was talking with my counselor, and we were going through the different aspects of, do I go more of a DVA route and focus heavily more on the business administration aspect, or really lean into a PhD practice and understand really the psyches of people? And that's what really interested me, is significantly more than just meeting a goal, is how do you motivate somebody to even see that there's a goal ahead of you to tackle and take on? And that's really where I leaned into the studies and practices of industrial organizational psychology. And I'm a PhD candidate now inside of those practices. Almost done, thank goodness. But that's what I really found really enlightening. It really pulled back a lot of the layers behind not just the motivational factors of the person, but also the environmental factors that contribute to that level of motivation and satisfaction too. So it's really cool to get into the world of people science, because it's not just about theories and applications. It's literally about the people and how you get them to move the needle forward if for whatever reason they're not moving it now. So it's
Yeah.
been fun.
I love that so much. Most people, when they're sitting around, they're like, should we go get ice cream at 10 p.m.? And people are like, yeah, why not? But you talk to Jonathan and he's like, at 10 p.m., should I go get a PhD? And he's like, why not?
Yeah, it was
That's
already
awesome.
built into the routine. So I was like, I'm going to be that age. I'm already doing it now. May as well do it with another extra acronym behind my name.
I love it. That's fantastic. So, you're when did you make the break between working for organizations versus doing your own thing?
Yeah. So after working in the corporate world and corporate consulting for a significant amount of time, you start to learn and listen to things that are not only the writing on the wall, but really the type of experience that you're looking for. And at the age that I was, I had obviously great opportunities ahead of me. It was just a matter of how much more, or how much higher do I want to climb that corporate ladder? I was still going to be in the same kind of function. I loved the world of implementations. So being in something that requires and provides constant change was really interesting to me. But as I continue to grow inside of that role, I just didn't find a lot of significance in how I was going to be growing and developed. I wanted to grow beyond just the deployment, grow beyond just the client interactions. And then I also started really getting in tune with my value system. What is the type of workplace that I really want to be in? What type of space do I want to hold? And we had great values and structures within the organization. Large pharmaceutical organization, they spent a lot of money in those efforts. But as I consistently found myself in that position, I knew that it wasn't going to be my forever job and forever role. And that's actually when I was approached by my now business partner to join his organization back then and help him launch, scale, and develop his consulting agency. So that's where I was given the opportunity of, hey, I see what you're doing. I know that you love the world of implementations. I need someone that has your brain power that can come in and really scale what I'm looking for. So that's when I joined the world of dentistry almost 7 years ago. And I stepped in as the COO, building out the operations, the HR division, and then acquiring all the dental talent within our organization, which was quite a heavy lift. And of course, not working at all in a dental office or understanding the intricacies of what dentistry really provides today was fascinating to me because I'm a teeth guy. I love my teeth. That's like the first thing I notice when I talk to people is their smile, and it's a really great thing. And I always loved going to the dentist. So having that conversation of like, okay, well, let me understand like the inner workings and the behind the scenes aspects to get someone to see their patient for the day. And of course, not having that dental knowledge or dental background, I just leaned heavily into it with my continuous improvement background. There's people, there's processes, there's technology at play. What can we do to improve it? How can we make sure that people enjoy the work that they do? How can I make sure that I actually have some valuable questions or solutions that can support them in whatever capacity that they are? Because the workplace is the workplace. What you do inside the workplace is one thing, but who you are in the workplace is a significantly bigger role that you play without even really recognizing it. So that's kind of where I made my diversion into the dental space.
Well, I do have to confirm, guys, if you're just listening to this, you're just gonna have to trust my word on this. Like, Jonathan has got great teeth. If you're watching this, then you can confirm as well. I'm a big teeth person too. Like, I believe heavily in dentistry and good teeth, and I'm with you.
Yeah.
My smile is my
Yeah.
favorite is my favorite attribute.
Beautiful smile. Of
Thank you so much. Coming from a guy that like that's the first thing they notice, that means a lot. I appreciate that.
course.
So give us a little bit of background about what you specifically do for these dentist office that work with you.
Yeah. So over the last, I would say almost 7 years now, the business model has shifted a few times. But most recently, the last year, I sold my organization off to another agency. Didn't go the best way or direction that I had hoped for. So we issued a claw back and rebuilt our brand and organization as you see it today, which is Zia. So Zia focuses solely on talent and organizational development initiatives for entrepreneurial based organizations, growth focused practices as well. So when we're working with private practices or emerging group practices within the dental or healthcare space, it's really looking at how they're ensuring that their talent strategy is going to align and meet the business objectives or goals that they've set forward for themselves. And then we support that and infiltrate that from the people side. What does the succession planning look like? What do the development tracks look like? How do we ensure that we are developing leaders inside of the modern workplace today to support some of the generational differences and gaps that we're currently working through already? We will evaluate whether or not teams are even ready for virtual talent or hybrid teams. There's a lot of different organizations, specifically within the dental space and across the markets and sectors too, that offer like virtual assistance and virtual support. And we take it a little, I would say, a more cautious route, because it's always great when you want to save money and you want to hire somebody from another country, but you have to do it ethically and you have to do it morally. And we make sure that not only the technology and the people are culturally set up, but also ensuring that our clients are fit to even support those types of initiatives. If you're not willing to have a conversation with somebody because maybe an accent, then, maybe virtual talent isn't the best route for you if you're looking to save money by going to Brazil. There's different avenues that will help and support how the team and talent is being developed, whether it is in a hybrid, virtual, or on-site capacity. So full spectrum people strategy is really what we do. And then we build in a lot of the IO psychology aspects to ensure that we are bringing those theories forward. We have evidence-based practices and solutions that aren't just generated and thrown out by ChatGPT. We come in with the expertise to ensure that we know and how to model that behavior and then create it and replicate it forward.
That's fantastic. Now I have to ask, is your work, is it directly related to what you've studied with your PhD, or was your area of study totally different?
Yeah, it is right in line. So there are like three layers that I've always talked to or talked through, which is talent, leadership, and culture. So my dissertation, my thesis is solely around, organizational cultural development and how you apply that and generate that through applied organizational leadership principles. So really, really leaning heavily into the studies that we've seen. Psychological safety is like my champion. That's what I make sure that I speak on consistently, because that's a foundation for anything and everything to be built off of. And it starts with you. So how are you ensuring that you are not only operating as a safe human, but then being responsible for creating those safe spaces that you're encountering? So yeah, definitely applied science, definitely deep in the literature. I'm not the only resident IO psychologist on my team. We have two other psychologists and psychotherapists within our organization. that also help bring in their own flavor and style to the same models that we speak to, but with their own, flavor and sparkle.
It's fantastic. So, and how does that differ from like what you're doing with the dentistry? How does that differ from the psycho In-Ceto experience? Like what
Yeah, so that's a fun one. And we're getting ready to, we're in our planning stages for our next retreat next year. But my business partner, Sarah, and I, we also operate inside of this space. We all are busy entrepreneurs, busy leaders. We're at the effects of burnout, decision fatigue, notification overload constantly. And one thing that I found, especially within our dental space and dental community, is many individuals resonate with the style and approach of servant leadership. And that's because you're in service of others. You're serving communities, you're serving your patients, you're serving your team, hopefully the best way. And that's where we have noticed inside of my field that burnout really shows up extremely, extremely heavily when you're constantly in the space of service. Last year, I used to be on the road 2 to 3 times a month, and that was a lot just to go from conference to conference to conference. And while exciting and fun, it sounds and glamorous as you might seem, it seems to be, it's exhausting and it's tiring to be on the road, to put your body through those motions, to constantly not be in your home space. That's where we found that, there's a real opportunity for us to really lean in and see whether or not we're really operating inside of the values that we believe we have and whether or not we're really aligned with them. So my business partner, Sarah, and I, we really started breaking down those layers and really started to evaluate the leader from within. How are we breaking down, those barriers, those challenges, those narratives, the conversations that we tell ourselves that really aren't fueling the perception or the persona or the brand that we're building. So really digging deep and getting into the layers is where we started. So lots of exercises, lots of questions. And then we also build in a lot of somatic movement. So making sure that we have red light therapy. We're big on cold plunges. If you've never done one, I highly recommend it. It is like a full nervous system reset. You'd be surprised what your body and your mind can do within that quick little minutes time frame. The goal is only 2 minutes, so you don't need to be in there for like an hour, but it definitely is when you'll be able to see some of the noticeable differences and changes. Sleep better, eat better, feel better, less irritation, less inflammation, all the things. So we go into some of like the routines, the exercises, the diets as well, because that also starts with how you're fueling yourself. It's not just what you're consuming from a literature aspect and social media. It's what you're putting inside your body and how you're making sure that you are internally taken care of. So that's our little more of, we call it kind of our woo-woo ceremony without too much of the woo-woo.
So, well, yeah, well, I mean, I totally get what you mean. Like, it's woo woo in like the biohacking sense, but it's totally scientifically backed in terms of the effects that each of these practices have on the body. You're speaking my language. I love cold plunges. I love
Awesome.
somatic work, and so like you're talking to I'm your audience right there.
Love it. Love it.
So, and is this in terms of the niche? Are you reaching? Is it separately, or is it a part of like the dentist world? Like if they want not just like organizational support, but they want lifestyle support, like it's like another arm of the business.
Yeah, it's essentially another arm, not necessarily specific to dentistry. We've had individuals come to our seminars and retreats that go beyond our dental space. Of course, we're both positioned in dentistry, so we have a pretty good network within the dental space. But we've had principals, retired police officers, writers, and educators also come into our series because we're all learning and all experiencing life so differently. So if we have an opportunity to share the space with somebody else that, I'm a psychologist in dentistry with no dental background other than working inside of the dental field. If I can learn something from, a practicing dental hygienist that is serving an underserved population, but dealing with the same internal battles that I might be struggling with, there's opportunity for alignment and synergy there. And that's what we love about creating it because it's not specific to just dental. Yeah, we talk dental, but that's not just the topic of the conversation. There's so much more depth that gets to be there when you start really getting deep with the people.
Yeah, I love that. What's really unique, I think, about the dentistry industry is that it's a highly sought after niche. Like, I mean, marketing people are going after dentistry right and left. Like, but I haven't heard of a
Yeah.
business like yours in terms of like the focus on psychological safety and retention, succession planning, these types of things. But I'm curious, like, are there other people out there that are doing this type of coaching? Do you feel like you have something really unique? The real question is like, what makes you different in this industry because it's so saturated with service providers?
Yeah, I would have to say that thankfully we're not really in a huge space of competition. And at the way that I operate is, at the top we collaborate, we don't compete. So what does the conversation really look like? You might come to me and see like, oh yeah, Jonathan is the person that I want to work with this time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this next coach might be the better solution for the next area of expertise that they provide and bring. But we definitely are special. We definitely hold a very unique value proposition in our market because we angle and operate as psychologists and we bring in that scientific foundation. I've had onlookers, I've had IP stolen, I've had my slides on other people's presentations before. And there's only thing that you can do is really laugh about it. Of course, my instincts are like, what the F is going on? But of course, you can't do that. Like, I can't advocate for psychological safety and be the person that consistently destroys and breaks it down over and over and over again. So, knowing that is also just being aware of kind of what are the conversations in our space. There are individuals in our space that like to use some of the more, I would say, what's the right word? Marketplace values or terms like cognitive behavioral theory or neuroscience. Those terms have been thrown around recently, but they're being thrown around from a buzzword context, like an outcome. You have to take the steps to achieve those outcomes. And that's where we really take the time to understand that there are layers. We have our own methodologies and approaches that we built in because of these circumstances and these conversations. And anytime I hear somebody mention language that we reference or utilize, I just look at it as flattery. There's always going to be somebody that's going to want to do what you're doing, but they're never going to be able to do it the way you do it. So that's just how we look at it.
I love it. I think it's a powerful frame, and also, like, there are so many dental offices out there, right?
Yeah, like
Right, there's
it's a sea of opportunity.
yeah, yeah, I love it. So fantastic. So, what's something that you're working on right now from, like, a business development perspective? Like, is it that lifestyle arm piece? Is there something also in the consultative side that you're trying to fix? Like, what are some big initiatives for you guys in the next, like, 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, we are working on a lot. My hand is in so many cookie jars right now. I don't know how I'm going to be able to eat them all. But for the most part, we are really working on our community based development platform. That's something that we recently implemented within our organization that we're actively building out. One thing that we're really focusing on is building more locally while acting globally, but building locally. We've really have a national footprint across the dental space, which is great and phenomenal, but what I'm really looking to and what my team is looking for these days is really building a bigger footprint here in the California, San Diego market. We had such a big footprint in Arizona prior to us relocating here, that now that's really our biggest endeavor. A lot of our growth and development initiatives have come from organic referrals, some of the marketing and lead generation efforts, social media, but those are really our big targets is inside of not only this technology build out, what does the landscape look like that we also want to not say infiltrate, but create a presence for and hold space for
Yeah,
too.
yeah. No, that's great, and I love how you are like have a large scope and a small scope, right? Like you want to expand big, but you also want to saturate the market that you're in. So that's a very, very cool approach.
Less planes. I am not trying to be on the plane. I live in San Diego. I want to be at the beach.
Oh yeah, you're like, I moved here for a reason. Fantastic. So what are some industry trends right now that are creating an impact on your business and making you have strategic conversations about how to shift?
Yeah. So because we're in the space of virtual talent and hybrid evaluations as well, the conversation of AI is everywhere, right? So talking about, do I need people? Do I need a robot? Do I need an agent? How do I get these workflows? What automations can we institute? All of that has been quite interesting to navigate because again, we're evaluating the cost factors and cost analysis between, do I hire a treatment coordinator in the practice? Do I hire a virtual treatment coordinator? Or do I program an AI robot to send the treatment plan to patients and then create the communication pathways to get them to sign on their treatment? So that's been a really interesting area for us to dive into because it's not something common. We don't coach on artificial intelligence. I am plugged in with different platforms and tools from like a utilization perspective or a partner perspective. But that has been the biggest thing showing up recently. I wrote an article yesterday in response to Salesforce's large layoff that they just initiated. They laid off over 4,000 customer service based employees. And for it being the largest CRM tool and platform in the nation, and sole focus is customer experience and you got rid of those people that can be responsible for it, it's interesting to see how the market is shifting, understanding what really is going to be the value of the human and then what you value in terms of the experience of support to your client or end user is evolving. I think it also, though, provides opportunities for people that may have been a little too complacent for too long. It's great that you've been in a position for 20 plus years, which the Gen Z is now calling job hugging. But what is the next level for you to go into after that? Or is there one? So I think it opens a can of worms and some questions to show up a little bit more if people are curious about what AI can really do to them. My whole belief system around it is AI is not going to replace the human, but it will replace the humans not utilizing AI. So it's how you use it.
That's a good slogan. We need to get that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Um, it's fantastic. So what's a question right now that you're noodling on?
Do I do one more project or do I finish something else? So that's what I'm noodling on, specifically to the Psycho In-Ceto experiences, is how we're growing that out. Do we want to build coaching programs, other aspects into like the retreat series? So definitely tinkering with that idea. I actually postponed the meeting that I had scheduled today for it till next week. So I had a little bit more downtime to think about what really is the decisions and strategic thought process we want to bring forward versus just saying we're going to do it and then not really thinking about it and then regretting it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Well, I'm sure, like, especially with there's so many initiatives and you're wearing a lot of hats, like prioritizing those things. Cause right. Cause like everything is screaming for attention. Right.
Yeah.
And so prioritize, that's definitely something that I'm always analyzing in my own work and in my own business for sure.
Yeah. Definitely making sure that I'm taking the time and prioritizing the revenue generating activities beyond just the nice to have ones, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think can be confusing sometimes, right? Because I think it's often the non-revenue generating activities that demand our attention the most.
Yeah. And most timely.
Say that one more time.
And they're the most time consuming too.
It's so true. It's so true. So are you with your PhD? Are you all but dissertation? Is that where you're at, or are you
I am all
okay?
but dissertation. I graduated from my doctoral program spring summer of 2023, and over the last year and a half, I've been working on my dissertation. Goal is to be completed by next summer, next springtime, hopefully. Just kind of make sure all my chairs and people just approve my stuff, and I can just keep moving through it.
That's awesome. Do you see yourself being in academia much, or are you like locked in on entrepreneurship?
Funny that you mentioned that. So one of the initiatives that we did launch about September in July was our Ziaversity platform. So because we're so tuned in on a lot of the education and the science, we built out our own education series. So making sure that we are training and creating the space for modern leaders to show up inside of modern workforces today. So Ziaversity is our entire education series and platform. I am a speaker and educators. I like to say that I'm more of an educator than a speaker because I like to talk about the topics that I speak on and make sure that we can go deep inside of those distinctions too. So absolutely, another saying and phrase that we like to make sure that we're operating by is, transitioning those knowledge seekers to knowledge creators. I was a seeker once, and now I'm in a space where I'm able to create things based off my experience, based off my education. And there's so many brilliant minds within our field that I've come across that there's always something to learn. So even creating the space where we can offer our platform to other educators, other thought leaders in our space to come in and share and support with our clients, to support with our community. That's been one of the biggest goals and angles that we've been really forwarding to because everyone has something to learn from someone. And if we're able to bring that forward, awesome. So it's really cool to see everyone showing up as students in our little cohorts that we do have because it requires a level of intentionality. Getting somebody that is in their maybe mid to late 50s, pretty established in their career, but looking to be a better informed and educated leader. That's amazing. You don't see that often. You don't see it commonly in our field because, especially if you're a dentist, you know what you know, and there's not a lot of wiggle room there unless they're looking for where the wiggle room could be.
Mhm.
So creating that space for it has been really fun and exciting.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, and is there like just I guess another question? You have your hands in so many pies, but you strike me as like someone that like always like still takes time for like their own passions. and like what they're interested in. What's something that is just really exciting to you right now outside of work? Whether that's yeah, in a hobby wise or a book you're reading, like what's got you excited right now?
Yeah, so I'm very big on boundaries. I like to say that I am always approachable, but I'm not always accessible. And that is because I make sure that I have a line in the sand for my own burnout, measurement, and temper. So running is my outlet. I love to run. I run a 5K twice a week. I will go on Wednesdays and on Saturdays with my run club. That's what I look forward to every week. It's something that gets me excited. I was always been a runner. That would be like I was always a cardio fiend. So being a runner in high school, not like on track and field or anything, but as my outlet for exercise, it's also turned into something where I use it as my like form of walking meditation. It's not something where I can just sit and be still with. I got ADHD symptoms too. So having running be my outlet of going through the motions, going through the thought, focusing on my breath work, listening to music, it's just really enticing to me, and then getting a good sweat and pumping. And I live by the beach, so running by that and having that opportunity just to be a little bit more grounded and present with it is really great. And I have found that it's been a saving grace for a lot of things. If I'm in a bad mood, if I'm stressed out, if I just need kind of a reset, or if I'm in a really great mood and I'm really excited and happy, I use that as fuel to get my mile time faster, increase or decrease my pace time each mile that I do run. And I really enjoy it. I know people look at me and think I'm crazy, like, why are you running so much? And I'm like, because I really enjoy it. Like, this saves me.
So good, so good. I
Yeah.
love that, I love that. Well, and I love how you recognize, like, that for you, it plays multiple functions, right? Like, social, because you're running with groups, right? Meditative, because you're doing this consistent pace and you're focusing on your breathing as well as movement for physicality, and it's really centering to you. So that's fantastic that you found like one activity for you that like checks a lot of boxes for health and wellness. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Now I'm
awesome.
looking at other sports that will keep me running. So tennis, I'm not the best of the bat, but I can, or the handle, whatever it is, the racket, but I'll be running the court and
That's
soccer.
awesome. That's awesome. Are you watching the US Open right now?
No, I'm not.
We're not that much into tennis, but
No.
we're looking at it.
Yeah. It's just for the play and the fun and the laughs,
Love it.
really.
I love it. Fantastic. So good. Well, Jonathan, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. So tell our listeners, how do they follow you, the journey? If you're listening and you're a dentist and you're like, I need Jonathan and his team in my practice, like how do people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find my personal account on Instagram, which is at the Chief Psycho, and that's just all of my content, my personal branding, all the fun stuff that I like to release and share. And then professionally, you can find us at Talent by Zia. That is across all handles. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, that is where you can find us and learn more about the service and solutions that we provide to entrepreneurs inside of the healthcare space. Yeah, those are the best avenues to find us.
I love it. Well, guys, I'm going to put the links to that in the episode notes so you can link to those directly. But again, Jonathan, thank you so much for bringing your passion, your zeal, and it's been honestly just so fun hearing a little bit of the snippets of your evolution of how you've grown and developed as a human being and how you thought you wanted to be a plastic surgeon and how you're still in the medical field, but you're doing it from the mind and the heart and the soul perspective. It's really just been a joy to get to know you, and I love everything you're putting into the world, so keep up the good work.
Thanks, Lisanne. It's great. It's been such a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for the opportunity.